Hello, 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 and good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. So, welcome again to Father's Talk for the first time here in the month of June. Um, Let me also say pre-welcome to summer. I know for some of us out here, we're already starting to feel the summertime conditions. So, woo! Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. So, with our subject matter for today, what we're going to talk about, rejection. It's one of those embarrassing things that nobody really likes to talk about, nobody wants to deal with because it's hard to think that for some reason somebody said, you know what you're trying to do just or what you want to do, or what you desire to do, it's just not good enough. And sometimes that is a hard pill to swallow. That's something hard to deal with. And it makes it difficult for people to accept when somebody says, I don't want what you're offering, especially when it comes to relationships. It's one thing to deal with your personal dreams and visions and to have somebody try and reject that. It's like, okay, I'll just move on and I'll keep doing what I'm doing because I believe I'm passionate about what it is that I'm doing. And I really believe that is a powerful thing to keep myself moving and going forward, is that I can, regardless of what other people are saying or what they believe I'm capable of or incapable of doing, and that it's like, hey, that doesn't move me. But a lot of times when it comes to relationships, people that we know, people that we feel that we trust, or even if it's someone that we're beginning to get to know and understand them a lot better, make a connection with, that it's like, okay, we vibe, we get along, there are issues and things that we share, or maybe past experiences, the way that we were raised and we grew up, those things are shared. But then it's like, what do you mean you don't believe I can do that? Or what do you mean you don't believe that there could be something more here? I'm going to open up and share a lot about myself when it came to rejection. I have been an individual that has been rejected a lot, believe it or not. And one of the main and biggest reasons associated with rejection is confidence. If you're not confident in who you are or what you bring to the table, what you offer, it's going to reflect in your actions, your attitude, and your speech. There have been surveys done to state and to simply suggest that when it comes to attracting people or even building interest in people, the more confident you are of yourself and who you are and what you bring to the table, what you offer, what you add, the value, how you value you affects people's opinion of you. Let me say that one more time just to make sure you get it. How you value you affects people's opinion of you. So if you are a person that second guesses themselves a lot, that's going to reflect also in your relationships. So I'm not saying that we have to have a big head and be pompous and carry ourselves just, I am the stuff. I'm all that and everything else associated with it. I'm not saying we have to be that, but there has to be a level of confidence, of surety, of I know who I am. And I know that when I show up, what I'm bringing, what I'm offering, what I can even add to those whom I'm around. And that, you'd be surprised how much that affects people, that moves people. So rejection has more to do with we ourselves than it does the people and the situations that we may be dealing with. And commonly, see, it's funny because we deal better with rejection when it comes to, say, trying to get a loan. Why are you getting the loan? Because you're trying to get something that you want, whether it's an investment in business, money to help secure your family and your needs, a car loan, a house loan, a loan for a major appliance, or things of that nature. We easily, because it's like, okay, I know that I'm not qualified because I've done my research, or I know that my credit score is bad. So then when it comes to relationships, it's like mind-boggling, mind-blowing to think that somebody rejected us for various reasons, because it doesn't necessarily have to be someone rejecting you who you're trying to have a relationship with, like boyfriend, girlfriend. But sometimes it just comes down to just connecting with people, and it's like, oh, I feel like we have a lot in common. So there's things that we share, things that we can agree on, things that we can talk about. And so building that. And so what is another factor that kicks in discouraging a relationship, in discouraging us from connecting with other people? And it may just, a lot of times, it's just simply we haven't gotten to know that person well enough. We move too quickly. Because it's like, and sometimes we have to be careful as well, because just as we just talked about a moment ago, confidence, another thing that scrubs people's look at us, the way that people look at us, is how we carry ourselves. Do we approach them desperately? Like, oh, gotta have this relationship, gotta be me and you, gotta be able to spend time and do this and do that. Or are we just so over the top that the way that we come off is, you know what? I can't deal with you. At least the way that you are right now, just a little too much, a little too pushy, a little too bossy, a little too excessive, got a little too much going on. And so it makes rejection harder to deal with, because it's sometimes we don't see ourselves in the way that we respond to others. So we're real aggressive, real blunt about the expectation, who we are, where we are. And that doesn't always work. Well, I'm just being real. I'm just keeping it real. Sometimes your realness is too much. Sometimes you got to ease up off the throttle and allow people to be themselves. You're so vamped up, amped up, ramped up that they really don't know how to associate with you. They don't really, there may have been some initial connection, but now there's a major disconnect, because it's like you come off as high intensity, whereas they're like, well, hey, let's slow it down, let's back it up, let's ease it up. And so it's us being aware of ourselves, knowing our own, and to say it like this, our own previous history. Prime example. If you know you are not the type who's very outgoing, but it seems like, hey, I'm trying to get to know somebody. I feel attracted to them, or I feel that, okay, we're going to get personal. Talk about me. Share a moment with me. So back when I was 19 years old, single, wasn't with anybody, wasn't messing with anybody at that time or anything. Finished my freshman year of college, came home. Father had prepared the family. We were going to take this family vacation on a cruise. And it was a family cruise. So that means that there were, I think the boat had over 1,200 total passengers on it. So since it's a family cruise, strong chance going to meet somebody your own age or somebody potentially you could connect with. So I'm 3 of 5. So family of 5. Family all goes on the cruise. So there's 7 of us on the cruise. And so all the kids, well, all the older kids, sister was too young at that point. So all the rest of us, the boys, we went to on the boat, especially since it was international waters. Instead of calling it a club, they called it the discotheque. So we went down to the discotheque, play a lot of music, and then they go and start playing musical chairs. So me being who I was at that time, very introverted, was not an extrovert. So it took me literally nearly an hour to psych myself up. And I'm not exaggerating the facts. It took me nearly an hour to psych myself up just so that I could approach a young woman who I saw that was in there and do it the way that I wanted to so that I could do what? Be successful. So know yourself. Know what are your strengths and your weaknesses before you start dealing with people. And this is people across the board. So these, I'm talking in areas of business, work associates. Know what's going to work for you. Already, you need to have established within yourself, what are my limits? Where do I feel comfortable? And where do I feel discomfort? Where do I feel trouble? Where is it that if I get over into this range, stuff isn't going to be great for me? Because like, if you're not a person, if you feel like you're not a very comedic person, you don't need to be sitting there telling jokes. It's not you. It's not really going to work out. It's almost, and I'll make it even more relatable. Like Marlin, who was the character that played Nemo's dad in Finding Nemo. Here he is, just because he's a clownfish doesn't mean he can tell jokes. And it wasn't until the end of the movie where he got confident in himself as a father, literally as a male fish, a man, that he could be effective in doing other things. And it took the whole movie for him to graduate to get to that point that he could let stuff go to be able to even express himself that way. So again, set yourself up for success. Know your limits, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, know what's going to help you in connecting with people, what's going to discourage you and cause you to disconnect with people. So if you're looking for relationships of all types, know what's going to be a help, know what's going to be a hurt. Know how you're going to relate, know where you need to stop. You set your own borders, your own parameters, because then it's going to help you deal. If they accept you, then you know what? They got the real me and they got the best of me because I already knew how I was going to approach them. But if you have no borders, if you have no parameters, if you have nothing worked out and you just go head on, there's no telling what's going to come out. Because sometimes, and it's just like pro athletes. Sometimes when you catch them, like right after the game, heart-wrenching loss, what happens? They say something because they didn't think it through, and then it just flew out the mouth. Now it's all over the media, and everybody's dogging them out and talking about them for what they said. Because they didn't have the time so much to gather their thoughts, to get themselves into a place where they could readily deal and maybe say things as keen and as sharply as they would have liked. So, yes, sometimes things can be misappropriated, misjudged. It happens with we regular everyday folk too. We try to connect. We try to hit or miss with dealings with people, with associating with people, with connecting with people, understanding that they're a person and we're a person. And so the interests are going to be, whether they're similar or they're different, we have to understand who we are first, which is going to make it so much easier and so much more a help to be able to connect with others. And so it's like, okay, so you're talking about connection, but how do we deal with the rejection in the same way, in the same light? I've got to be okay with me. Because if I'm okay with me, then regardless of who comes or who goes, I'm still going to do what's going to be best for me. And I know that may sound a little selfish, and in some ways it may sound a little spitish. Like, okay, what? So you had a relationship with somebody and that relationship just starts falling off. You're just going to let it go? I have to take care of what? Myself first. So I have to be willing to understand, hey, there's some things I need to do. I need to analyze this relationship. Was it good for me? Was it positive? Was it influential? Did this person help me? Did they aid me? Do they care for me? Are they concerned about me? Because sometimes things end, and it's actually better if it ends rather than if we hold on to it. Because in holding on to it, what do? We're actually damaging ourselves. We're hurting ourselves because we just want to hold on to the relationship. But sometimes the season has passed. Sometimes there's a connection between a thing. And so when that's gone, really the relationship's gone. Because what was holding it together, what was solidifying it, was that event or whatever it is that shared moment. But when that is gone, there's nothing else that the relationship is being held. The adhesion for the relationship is gone. It's like a worn out piece of tape that unless you apply something else to hold it together, every time you try and knock it back down to push it back into place, all it's going to do is just peel right back up. And the bad part is when it peels up, it's usually very bad timing. You think it's going to support, you think it's going to hold up under pressure, and then totally falls apart. So we have to understand that sometimes every person, every relationship is not permanent. They may have only been in your life for a particular time, a particular event, a particular moment. And so when that's gone, sometimes you just have to wish somebody well and let them go. And it's the same sometimes with the ventures that we may try and get into. There are so many different relationships that get spoiled as a result of people holding on to a situation that happened, that occurred during the relationship. And sometimes we just have to be able to forgive and let go. We really have to be able to forgive and let go, because that can be just as contaminating. And when I'm talking about relationships here, I mean, right now I'm sharing from an aspect of business, because that is something that is very sensitive. People sometimes get involved in situations and maybe they don't know all the facts. They don't know everything that's being worked, that goes into what it is that they're venturing into. And then you get involved and then it doesn't come out the way that you expected it to. So now you're upset at the person that maybe taught you, convinced you, the friend, or even the associate that convinced you, hey, I heard about this and I think this would be good. You want to get into it? And so you get into it and you're all excited. And then it's like, hold up. This ain't turning out the way that you said it was supposed to work. My expectation is not being met right now. So I'm starting to get a little salty, a little upset, a little mad. And so, again, knowing yourself. If you have a relationship with somebody that you're close to and they're like, hey, what about this? And if you're not willing to take the time and the effort to really search that thing out, ask enough questions to find out, hey, is this really for me? And then you jump in it, and then it doesn't turn out the way that you expected it to, take ownership. Sometimes that's a tough pill to swallow, but we are responsible for the decisions that we make. Now, they may have tried to push us into it, but it comes down to us, yay or nay. And so we have to take ownership for the decisions that we make, regardless of who's trying to convince us of what they believe is best for us. Again, know yourself, cover yourself, protect yourself, because nobody's going to love you more than you. Nobody's going to take care of you better than you care for yourself. Because come on, adult talk, grown-up talk, real talk. If you don't protect and cover yourself, is it real to expect somebody else to do that for you? Understanding that when it comes to business deals and transactions, like even if somebody recommended a bank, well, I love my bank and this is what my bank does for me, and da 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 da, and they've been able to do this, and then you switch banks and you go to this bank and it's okay, why can't I do all this stuff? Did you find out all the information? Did you research the bank beforehand? Did you go ahead and find out a check? Because a lot of times when you see something, when you check out a business for the first time, or something that you're wanting to do, or places even to go, there's so many reviews that you can see and find from people who have experienced what you're about to get into. And it's like, okay, what are people saying about this bank? Is the deal that I'm going to get going to be so much better than where I'm currently banking? Is it going to help? Know yourself. See, by checking things out firsthand, what are you doing? You're actually creating a peaceful environment for yourself, because then if you get into it, you already know all the facts. You don't have to be convinced of anything, because that's a hardship that comes back to just smash people's hearts when they feel like somebody convinced them against their own will. But here's the thing. If we're honest and we're true to ourselves and we really analyze it, we made the decision. People can say anything that they want, but we had to go and do the deed. We had to allow ourselves to go along with that line of thinking. It comes down to us. And so one of the greatest ways to prevent hurt, know your facts. Know yourself. Know the situation that you're about to get into with someone. And even when you're trying to work out an issue or a matter, and it's like, okay, whether they messed up or you messed up, there has to be forgiveness. You have to be willing to allow them, if they made a mistake, you have to give them, if you want to repair it. Because again, the level of forgiveness you operate in is totally your choice. Now, you can forgive them of the situation, but you know what? Because of the hurt, because of the deed, whatever it was, if you feel like, you know what, I forgive you, but I need to walk away. That is perfectly fine, because you know how it feels for you. And if you know that when you think about that person, the first thing that comes up is the icky feeling, mind starts going into bad places, heart starts feeling like it's sinking, you even start to get a queasy little knotty feel in your stomach, hey, might be time to disassociate. So again, no, you got to have the most important thing that I could share with you is have knowledge of yourself. What works best for you? What is the biggest help to you as you're dealing with people? And let me express this. For married people, yes, you have to know yourself. Know what's going to set you off. Know what's going to cause you to just erupt during an argument or a heated discussion, a debate. Know what situations are going to put you in a place that's not going to be good for you or your mate. And here's the thing. Here's one thing that a lot of times couples don't do that's simple, that's practical, that's helpful. Communicate that to one another. If you're a person that doesn't like to play or play in a particular way, like some people don't like being chased around the house. Some people don't like their stuff being moved. Some people don't like it when you just go hang out with the guys, with the girls. Share that stuff with one another. Combat the issues before they become an issue. Know yourself. And in knowing yourself, be willing to express that. That's your mate. That's your right hand. Let me say it like this. Your husband, your wife can become the best part of you if you allow them, if you connect with them, if you associate with them. You will cut off the hand and the opportunities for rejection to come in. And typically, I don't go biblical when I'm on here, but there's just one situation biblically that it stands out. To me, it stands out when it comes to husbands and wives. And that's Esther in King Ahasuerus. Esther came in, first of all, I don't believe that she knew the history between the first queen, Vashti, and King Ahasuerus. How she rejected him. And he was like, okay, all right, we want to do it like that? Don't ever come out of here. He punished her for life. Banished her to her room. Said, don't come out. Nobody's going to see. You don't want to come when I call? Fine. Woman, stay right there. Don't get up. Don't get out. We will keep you fed. But that's it. Nobody's going to see you except for a couple of servants. Literally, the vision I got the first time I heard that was somebody nailing the door shut and locking her in. They brought her meals and stuff through the window. That was it. Because think about it. Whole time you read the rest of Esther, you don't hear nothing about Vashti. That's how powerful rejection can be when it's not properly, especially when it's not properly dealt with. Because why? You're cutting at the heart. People don't like that. And yes, sometimes we do need to be careful of other people's feelings. Because we can do something in such a way that just from suggestion is hurtful, is harmful, and is painful. So we need to understand how we say, the demonstration of our attitudes, even our tone, can alert people to or bring them into a rejected field. So we have to be cognizant of the way that we come off. Because we may think it's okay, but to other people, it's like, no, that ain't cool. Don't take me there, please. And so going back in here to married couples, you've got to determine, this is the one I'm with. This is the one I love. I'm going to put us in the best possible position to succeed. And Esther's like, okay, I know I need change. I know I need help. I know I've got a situation here that I got to deal with. So I'm going to just bear my all before the king. So she came in and she struck a posture. Sometimes just your posture enough. Have you ever taken the time to sit down and just listen? Just listen, not say anything. Just listen. You care about that person. You married them with the intent of staying with them long term. Quietly, you said, I do for life. So your intent is to be with them, to be before them, and to continue on with them. And so are we really accepting one another? Or is it short term? I like you. I love you. I love the way you look. Let's get married. Is it all about the feel? Is it all about being comfortable? Or is it really about connecting? Because connection takes work. Connection takes effort. And when you truly are connected, there's a flow. And the thing is, when you get that flow, you don't want nothing. You don't want anything. Yes, I got a bonnet right there. Nothing, nada, zero, zilch. You don't want anything to get in the way of that. You will protect that thing at all costs. Because it's like, oh, we get worked out and worked up to a place and to a point where stuff starts really feeling good. And where it's just a flow. I can talk to you, you can talk to me, we can share, we can do experiences. And it's like, I don't mind being around you. I like being around you. I want to share with you. I want to tell you everything. Because when you get there, it's like, you, y'all, them, these, don't you disturb, don't you mess with this. We got this thing worked out and it's great. Don't you get in the way. Don't you. And just moving everything else out the way. Because it's like this, want this, I enjoy this. This is great. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to experience. And I'm telling you right now, when you start cutting off your mate, when you start rejecting them, there's a simple phrase: hurt people hurt people. They come back and they start rejecting you. Oh, you want to go out there with the boys? No. You didn't want to spend time with me earlier today. So guess what? You and the boys, ixnay. Not going to do it. Why don't you get out there, cut the grass? Why don't you get out there, trim the hedges? Why don't you go and clean up something? When we're slack concerning our mate, usually the return is slack in different areas. And I'm just going to leave that one right there where it is. So we have to know what's going to offer us strength. And that's going to be the biggest thing to help us deal with rejection. So don't get low. Don't pull out whatever it is you play on. Whether it's you go to YouTube, whether you go on your iPhone or songs and albums that you downloaded, and all of a sudden you start hearing some, ain't no sunshine when she's gone, only darkness every day. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and she's always gone too long. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Even when there's rejection, even when there's a cut at the heart, know yourself. What's going to get you back in a good place? And the thing is, the bad part is people typically, they want to jump back into another relationship. They want to jump back into something in the same exact area when they haven't gotten whole from what hurt them from before. Get yourself together. Heal up first. Why would you get cut and then do something that's going to affect the place that you just got cut at? Heal up. Give yourself a chance to recover. And then after you've recovered, then if you want to venture down that same road, okay. But again, know yourself. Know what you're dealing with. Know what you're getting into. Friends, contacts, connections, all that. Know you so you can better deal with them. I like that. Let's say that one more time. Know you so you can better deal with them. Because again, point we made very upfront and at the beginning, nobody's going to take better care of you than yourself. So you have to be willing, and this is just honesty, protect yourself. Because what happens, you go out and you're hanging out with people and you just bare your soul. First time around them and you just put it all out there, especially with social media and stuff now. And the next thing you know, you look up and on some feed, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, or wherever, and it's like, oh, somebody just put all that out there about me. But you put yourself out there before them. You have to know that's how some people, honestly, nowadays, that's how some people do things. Anytime they've got an event, anytime they meet with somebody, anytime they have a personal situation that they want to marker, they post it. And so you dealing with them, you have to know and you have to understand, you might become part of their post history. And that means everything about you, everything associated with you, any kind of connection that concerns you is going to be all a part of that. So it's moving in a positive direction. So again, cover yourself. Keep yourself. Sometimes it's best to be quiet and just listen. Nobody knows a fool is foolish until he opens his mouth. So we have to judge. We have to know what's the best outcome that I can get for the situation that I'm getting ready to get into. And how do I get there? So when it's dealing with people, and I know because of COVID and due to the internet and usage and Zoom, there are ways that you don't necessarily have to connect face to face, but these are still people that you're coming in contact with. And they need to know where you stand. They need to understand, they need to know where, see, as much as I want to say other people have to be able to, it's a give and take, and it's honestly, it's about you. It's about you. Here's a secret about rejection. The simplest way to not have to deal with rejection is not to be rejected. And it's like, well, that means I can't deal with people. No. You can start to see outcomes as you start dealing with people. Because the better you know yourself, the more you can identify with different people. And you'll see their heart and their true nature. So you'll begin to understand whether or not they're for you. The relationship is for you. Whether or not you need to even be wasting and spending your time in dealing with those people. Whether or not they're going to be helpful, harmful, or just blatantly somebody to get rid of. Somebody you don't need to associate with. Why get stuck in any kind of relationship with somebody you really don't want to spend time with? Why? because they're the anti-you. The things you don't like to do, that's what they do. The places you don't want to go, that's where they go. The attitude that you don't show, that's where they're always at. Even if they're the friend of somebody else, you may be like, you know what? You're with them. We're cool. I don't need to be there. Because why am I going to go out and be someplace with somebody that's just going to upset me, somebody that's just going to bother me, somebody that's just going to frustrate me? Again, know you and be okay with being you. And sometimes that may mean, you know what? Right now, maybe I need to be by myself, have a little me time. Because sometimes that's why people get into relationships. And that's also why certain relationships don't work out. You just want to be around people. But the more accepting you are of yourself, the less you'll have to deal with, combat, fight, struggle with when it comes to dealing with other people. Because you'll have no problems being honest with, you know what? I know trying to get together, spend some time, but I really don't feel like spending time with you. I'm out. You won't be moved by other people's words because you'll know what's truly best for you. You'll be willing to hear, but you'll hear in a way that you've never heard before. Why? Because the words, you'll see more out of their words and their actions, because it's like understanding for me, against me, good, bad. Do I really need to? No, I don't. And honestly, it's like, well, I don't have as many friends as I used to. But guess what? The ones that you have are true. The ones that you have are sure. The ones that you have, you'll be more confident in who they are and what they stand for concerning you than all those other friends. If something were to pop off, if things got hard and difficult and tricky to deal with, you'll have more successes out of fewer friends that are honest and really about helping and aiding you than you will about having a whole bunch of friends when those people don't have your back, aren't covering you, aren't protecting you, don't appreciate you. So, know yourself. Know yourself. And that'll be the first step to acceptance. You accept yourself. And then you'll know how to deal with whether or not somebody was really, truly willing to accept you. So, you know what you need to do right now? Come on, give yourself a big hug. Come on, love you some you and be okay with who you are. Love me, love me, love me. I'm good people. I'm good people. And I like the person that I am. And I even like where I'm going. So just continue to love and encourage yourself. And you'll be surprised how much that does for you. Because then you'll see other people understanding that, you know what? I can't talk them out of what they really want to do. I can't move them away from the person that they truly are. It's okay to have standards. Because if you don't have the standards, other people aren't going to consider those standards for you. And if they're tough standards, good for you, because that means that people have to step up. So don't get coerced into thinking, oh, well, I'm making things too hard. Do you want what you really want, or are you just going to accept anything? Know yourself. Know yourself. And even if you have to start saying that, I'm a beautiful person. I am a beautiful person. And I love me some me. Just help yourself, encourage yourself, build yourself up, and trust yourself. Good people. You are good people. Believe that. Walk in it. All right, so that's our session for today. I hope it was a help. I hope rejection, really, I hope you don't have to feel like you're rejected at all for any reason. But hopefully with this, it will encourage you that you can deal with it. You'll overcome it. And guess what? Yet and still, you'll be better for it. You'll be better for it. Love yourself, trust yourself, give yourself opportunities to succeed. Know your own boundaries, know your own limits, know the type of person that you are, so that you can really and truly excel, especially in the way and in the area of relationships. Love you all. See you next time. Enjoy your weekend. All right. Until then, this has been Father's Talk. See you next time. And as soon as I figure out how to say bye-bye, I will. I'm trying to figure out how to